The Art of Directing, Making Magic in Film and Television by Leandro. This is an excerpt from Chapter 10, Planning, Making the Film Before You Make It. Images usually come to my mind very early in the process, often when I first read the script, even before scouting locations. This is good. It means the script has struck a chord with me. However, I make sure not to overcommit to these early impressions. Preparation is a long road, preferably longer than the shoot, and many things will change along the way. It is only after the early production decisions are made, specifically shoot locations, that you can really start planning in earnest. To this end, once locations are decided, I will spend a lot of time there with my sketch pad, walking the course and drawing. In this way, the story becomes clear to me, and this also feeds into script development. I begin to be able to run the film in my head, and I translate these ideas into pictures on a page. Often my storyboards do not look like the cliched little boxes often seen in directorial instruction manuals. I prefer to draw my film as I feel it and as I imagine it. I don't see film as a series of rectangular frames, but as a fluid world that the characters and the viewer will inhabit. So my storyboards have evolved to reflect that. This process is very much based in the real world. It's not a purely notional or imaginary exercise. If I draw a storyboard image on a location, I know exactly where the subject will be in this environment. I know where the camera will be and what it will do. I know the lens that will be required and the sort of lighting I expect. Naturally, as a result of this, I also know the floor plan, whether I draw it myself or work from the designer's plans. Usually, I draw the floor plan and camera positions in my sketchbook alongside the storyboard images of the action. I'm applying my imagination to a real-world situation. Therefore, when other members of the team ask me questions about this sequence, I know, or should know, all the answers. I know the lie of the land, I know how many setups I will need, and how they will be achieved in the space. I know all of this because I have been to the location multiple times, and through the application of pencil and paper, I have already lived the film in my mind. The point being, a storyboard is far more than a bunch of pretty pictures or, for that matter, a simple order of shots. Storyboarding is not merely visualizing. You, the director, are embarking on the process of creating an experience. For directors blessed with the ability to draw, and this is not uncommon amongst directors who are, as a breed, highly visually attuned, such a process is not uncommon. As can be appreciated, this is a deeply personal process which obviates the need for a storyboard artist. Unless the storyboard artist adopts such a method themselves, how can they possibly see the film the director sees? But if they were able to do all of these things, equipped with the director's knowledge of the cast, film technique, and lenses, then surely they would be directing the film, because the person who plans the film directs the film. And if so, what is the director doing? As an aside about the utility of storyboard artists, they do serve a function. However, that function has little to do with the immediate concerns of production. A well-rendered storyboard is a useful way to impress producers and financiers who, presented with evocative pictures, will feel emboldened to support the director. Generally, these people can't read a storyboard. They respond to the aesthetics, which is useful when it comes to, for instance, releasing money. So this is important. However, other than as a form of concept art, the storyboard artist's work rarely has useful application when the rubber hits the road on the shoot. Another important aspect of storyboarding is, certainly in my case, that storyboarding is very analogous to writing, and therefore subject to constant revision as ideas are adopted and then rejected. This happens for numerous reasons, both practical and creative. which impact on the evolution of the film concept. So, just like a writer, as a director, you must be able to kill your darlings, not only in prep, but also in production. Being adaptable and fast on your feet are core directorial traits. It should also be said that I follow exactly this process, whether I am working in the studio or on location. In both situations, the director is dealing with the actual shooting environment they will be working in and making their plans accordingly. One example of many I can cite of how this process works in practice is in the UK soap EastEnders. 20 years after Janine killed Barry, I once again directed the show. As fortune would have it, my episodes featured Janine coming back to the show after a lengthy absence. In these episodes, she returned to the iconic EastEnders pub, The Vic, and started work there. This was the character's original home on the show, and the script acknowledged this when Janine addressed the bust of Queen Victoria on the bar with the line, "What did I miss?" This was a brief moment in a lengthy scene in which Janine encountered various characters, culminating in a standoff with another legendary character on the show, Sharon. With so much going on, the moment with the bust of Queen Victoria might have easily seemed incidental. Charlie Brooks, the actress playing Janine, saw the line as an amusing aside. I don't disagree with her reading. She knows her character better than anyone. However, I felt the moment with the bust was important. Having gone through the process outlined above, I had concluded that Janine's interaction with the bust of Queen Victoria was the animating moment in the scene. It spoke not just to the immediate story and to Janine's character, but to the meta-story of EastEnders. It mattered. It had to land. Certainly Charlie's choice would work and the audience would understand it. They would get the joke. But would they remember it? It seemed to me that Janine's encounter with Queen Victoria should resonate. Icon meets icon. So, through planning, I devised a sequence which would lead to and deliver this event in such a way as to maximise the moment. It was simply done within the requirements of soap genre expectations, but it landed powerfully. A shot to capture the moment, a close-up, not the usual soap medium close-up, but a real close-up. In fact, it was a two-shot, a close-up of Janine with the bust in profile in the foreground. This happened in the midst of a scene containing a lot of movement, with several entrances and exits, and Janine herself entering, moving around, and having conversations in various places on both sides of the bar. It was a busy scene, but her interaction with the bust of Queen Victoria was a moment of fleeting stillness, captured in close-up, and it worked. The moment was planned, storyboarded, and delivered, and the audience got it. Janine had come home. This is what directors do. Could this moment have been captured on the fly? Could I have just busked it on the day? First, in the hurly-burly of the shoot, I would have had to recognise the potential of the moment. Then I would have had to change the shooting plan to accommodate the shot. The shot, as captured, took some time to set up. If that hadn't been planned beforehand and agreed with the first AD, the excellent Claire Nicholson, it would have affected our ability to complete the shooting schedule that day. Certainly, under those circumstances, there would have been pressure to go with Charlie Brooks's idea of delivering her line as a throwaway aside. In fairness, there was nothing wrong with Charlie's idea. It was a good idea. It would have been quicker, and without a plan, I wouldn't have had a strong argument for an alternative. So the likelihood is, if this moment hadn't been planned in advance, it would never have been shot. Well, this is a very simple example. I follow exactly the same process when approaching large-scale production sequences involving many assets and moving parts, like, for instance, action sequences. Always the primary questions are, who is this scene about? What are the key story beats? And why does this matter? Then the question is, how will I deliver these elements resonantly to the viewer? Personally, I find the answers to these questions with pencil and paper.